Okay, so we're going to talk about native rights, eh?
Yeah. Alright, you got it recording?
Yep.
Alright. Well, first
introduce yourself.
Alright, well, I'm Jordan Olson. I'm a 19-year-old Métis individual from Rant, Manitoba. And I'm just going to do a little bit of a spiel on native rights. This is personally my opinion, and if you don't agree with it, that's fine.
Which person in your family was native?
Mostly my mother's side were the native family.
And your father was white?
Yes, he was Scottish and German, I believe.
Okay.
Most people think that it really confuses me racially, but in all honesty, I'm quite happy with the way I am.
Did you ever live on a reserve?
I did live on a reserve.
And how'd you think of that?
In all honesty, the reserve I come from has a really bad reputation, and I can really see why. Mostly gangs run rampant, there's a huge drug and gas sniffer community. People there are just miserable and trash their houses, and it really produces some really shitty people. Some people there come off the reserve and they're great, I'll admit. But the majority of them are whiny leeches who won't get off their asses and do something with their lives. As well as the reserve I was on, Sioux Valley, they can't even keep a restaurant open.
How long did that restaurant stay open?
6 months tops.
Really? That's not very long.
No, it's not really.
Do you think there's a lot of chief corruption on that reserve?
Well, in all honesty, the chief in Christian now I don't know much about, but if it's still the same one that it was a few years back, then yeah, it's pretty corrupt. He just tries to get his relatives employed at the water treatment plant, and interesting fact that he was actually a former coke addict.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was.
Jesus.
Not many people really realize that. But they'll just get practically anybody in there who can really stomach it. Even then they don't really do much of a job.
What kind of rights do you have if you are of status?
Well, I think most people are aware of hunting rights. And most of the people that I know seem to like to cart native guys or their friends off so they can hunt as much as they like.
Does hunting include fishing?
It does.
Okay.
It used to anyway, but seeing as the fishing squeeze is coming on, they're thinking of cutting that back, I can imagine.
Okay, what other kind of rights do people have?
Well, also comes with status is schooling.
Secondary schooling?
Post-secondary schooling, yes. Where all your schooling is paid for.
All of
the
it?
Government. Pretty much all of it. Even your living expenses, your books, your computer, if you want it.
Well, I wonder how many people take advantage of that.
Not very many that I know of.
That's too bad.
It really is. And apart also from that they're also on a special kind of welfare where they are actually compensated for what was done to residential schools X number of years ago. And with the quirk of the system that most people exploit is the more kids they have, the more money they get, which encourages them to keep breeding, and these kids are subjected to really terrible lives. I mean, a lot of them end up in gangs, in prison, and numerous drug cartels around here, and it's a real mess, and most people don't see it.
Are you kind of basing this on what you've seen around this community, or are you basing it on what you've seen around Canada?
I'm basing it on what I've seen in this community. I'm not denying that there are some really great reserves out there.
Okay.
I mean, there are quite a few that are filthy rich. Yeah, they've done really well for themselves.
Okay.
But for the fact it's such a small-knit community where everybody's stabbing each other in the back, I remember one time where there was even a conflict between my grandmother, who is fully native, and one of her friends. Her husband died a while back, and her husband's family got really pissy. They thought that the house she lived in belonged to them. And one time we hid in the house while they came round. They thought no one was home, and we actually heard shots fired.
That's awful.
Yeah, I don't mean to sound immature or anything here, but it is really retarded out there.
What do you think we should do? Like, is there anything the white person can do, or do you think it should really come within the community?
I think it really should come in the community. I read in the paper the other day that they were actually saying something about that, where they were protesting at a legislative building or something.
Okay.
Say, help us help ourselves. Basically, that's a plea for more funding.
Oh, let the healing continue?
Exactly. There are even commercials out there that say it, which I find is really wrong. But again, that may be me, but I don't know, I think that the Native community really needs to smarten up and figure that, no, their culture is not coming back. They're not going to go out and live in teepees, they're not going to hunt their own buffalo anymore. That much can be etched in transparent steel. And they need to realize that they need to take a good look at themselves. I mean, most Native kids, they learn about their culture through prison. And more often than not, that's where a lot of them end up. I've been lucky. I've had really good influences in my lives where I've avoided that whole hornet's nest. But...
Have you had lots of positive Native influences in your life?
No. I've had a few, and those people are really good. Like, a good friend of my grandmother, Frank Tatchin, he is an actual sort of almost medicine man, you could almost call him.
A shaman?
Yeah, kind of. He organizes all the sweats, all the naming rituals.
Okay.
And he does a really good job of it, I'll give him that much. And he's a really agreeable person, and yeah, he really cares about the people around him. But then you have people like my grandmother, manipulative, vindictive, utterly racist, not aware that it goes both ways.
Who is she racist against?
Mostly the white people.
Like, is it certain people, or is it just any white person?
Any white person she can find, even if she doesn't even know them.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why she might be racist against the white person?
In all honesty, it could have something to do with the fact that she went to residential schools herself, and yeah, that sucks, but not all of the white people did that. Not all the white people forced us onto reserves. Not all the white people took away our land. Not all the white people were gunslinging cowboys who butchered Indians for fun. And people really need to see this in this day and age. I mean, there are people who still, to this day, get really butthurt about this kind of thing.
Can you please explain what butthurt means?
Butthurt is basically, it's on the internet, it's basically saying they get really offended by it, very touchy about it, when there's really not that much to get offended by.
Like they're holding a grudge?
Yes, exactly. They're holding a very big grudge.
Oh, okay.
For something that they are doing themselves.
Okay.
I mean, they're beating themselves up. Another example is on the reserve. When they first established, they get brand new houses, really nice places.
Oh, yeah.
In a couple of years, it's gone to seed. Like
they're wrecked?
The place is completely trashed, yeah.
How is that possible? Normally houses can last for, I don't know, 40, 30 years?
Yeah, I know. My parents live in a house that's existed for about 75 years.
Mm.
And it's in pristine condition. Whereas these people, they don't care. They'll spill beer on the carpet and not wipe it up. They'll let their kids rip up the carpet just for fun. They'll put holes in the walls. They'll let the place get dirty that it looks like a garbage dump.
That's awful.
It is. And they've got no one to blame for that themselves. And they just see the white person as a nice little scapegoat.
Well, thank you for letting me interviewing you, Jordan.
It's no problem. I just want people out there to start thinking for themselves. Stop blaming the white person and look inside. Because that's really, at the end of the day, that's all you really have to hold accountable for yourself.
Okay.
Not just for the Native people, but for everybody.
That's true. Well, thank you for letting me interview you, and we're going to sign off now.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.